We'll call the meeting to order here this evening at 6:05 p.m. here at Eastern Standard Time. Welcome to the APA board meeting here held October 7th here. Hope everyone's doing well. Looking forward to the fall season that is here. Yay. Some fall breaks are coming up as well too, potentially.
Yes.
Maybe some trips, some travels, or maybe some fall festivities.
Wish it was fall weather in here.
Yes.
Yeah. A little toasty, but
The boardroom's having third summer, so.
okay.
Sorry about that.
We'll make it.
All right. First thing on the agenda, we get our Pledge of Allegiance and our moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, first thing on the agenda here is, can I get a motion to approve the agenda as presented this evening?
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carries. Thank you. Do we have anyone signed up this evening for public comments as we speak currently right now?
We should introduce Mr. Chandler here from Ball State. Pete
Yes.
Chandler.
Yes, absolutely.
Been too long since he's been here
Yes.
with us. Yeah, so.
Good evening, Mr. Chandler. Yes, thank you for attending this evening, our board meeting and stuff. Yes, yeah, thank you so much.
Welcome.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah, Ball State Office of Charter Schools.
I'll ask him to-
She's making note for those minutes.
All right, the next thing on the agenda is the meeting minutes from our last board meeting this evening.
Did we get a copy of those minutes?
No,
You gave it to me and we spread it down.
no, we didn't. We do not have a copy
Sure.
of the minutes.
It's just a minute. So, due to Angie's bereavement leave.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
Make a motion that we postpone the reading or the approval of the minutes to our next board meeting.
All right, we have a motion.
we've had to do that before.
I'll second.
Yeah.
All right, we have a motion second. Any further discussion? All right, we'll table those for the next meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, oppose. Motion carries, so that will be tabled to our November meeting on November 11th for that. We'll put a note for that. All right, next thing on the agenda here is the approval of the CEO report here.
And it's pretty minimal. I will add verbal feedback on a lot of it today.
Okay. As we're looking it over, can we ask questions, or do we need to wait for the discussion period? Probably should wait.
Yeah, we'll wait to the discussion
Yeah.
period for that.
First, I might answer a couple questions.
Dave, do you have your microphone on? We can't hear you.
Me? Or,
Yep, they're turned on.
Oh,
Maybe just be the
I mean, I can hear everybody else, I just couldn't hear him.
good, oh,
Oh,
okay.
yeah,
Well, they
it's-
might have deliberately turned that off.
We filtered it out. It would be, it's using the microphone on laptops, actually.
Oh, so I need to talk that way.
Yeah. but
Okay, I can do that, I
It should pick
think.
up, okay. It may just been.
Can you hear him now, Beth?
Do you, okay.
Okay.
I'll try to emote a little
I just want to
louder
make
here.
sure we understand what you're saying, because we have any input or whatever.
But I can't guarantee anybody will understand what I'm saying, but Well, we'll get it done here.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
The big information's today.
All right. If not any, anything else, we'll go ahead and continue and put a motion to approve the CEO report as presented this evening, excuse me.
I'll make a motion to accept the CEO report as presented.
All right, we have a motion.
I'll
We have a
second.
second. All
I'll
right, we have a
second.
motion and we have a second. Any further discussion right now?
I say, I do. All right, so, welcome to Count Week and DOE Certification Week and Charter Renewal Week. And I don't know what else is on that list,
Everything
a little bit more, so, I figured that I will provide some of the verbal update on this. First off, always a big thing for us, October 1st was Count Day. Actual certification kicks off in about 5 hours or so, when that window opens. Our count is lower than budgeted.
Yeah, wow.
But there are good reasons for that and reasons I think the board would support. So our official count right now is 741. We do not see any more conflicts with anybody else. And so that is kind of where we will land. I went ahead because, you know, that's 14 different than what I reported in my last CEO report. And, you know, the question, of course, is going to be why? What happened? And so in reviewing that, one of the commitments that we have made over the last several years, right? We know coming into the pandemic or coming through the pandemic, we did have some programming shifts, especially with that JROTC shift and trying to get full back to CAP, which obviously we are now back that way. And the commitment to really holding kids accountable and doing what we said we're going to do, following through with that. And so we have had 23 kids that have self-selected to not remain attending APA due to excessive behaviors. And we had one kid who was with us for 4 weeks, had 15 discipline referrals, and that means that those teachers or whoever had exhausted all of our in-class, you know, procedures, strikes, all of that, way before you get to a full referral. We have had, at the beginning of the year, we had some kids with aggressive behaviors, having, you know, actual fights, things that we're not used to really as a school. And we did expel a student during that first week of school. Obviously, we went through due process, but the ultimate
Is
result.
this older kids or younger or a little mix?
Mainly middle school.
Middle school.
Few high school, but
Mhm.
mainly middle school.
That's where you have most of the trouble, I think.
Yeah. We did have 5 withdrawals at the elementary during that time period. 2 of them were behavior. Those were not like, hey, APA said, hey, you can't come to school here, right? I want to be very clear on that. But the families decided that maybe their kiddo wasn't quite ready for that school setting, or that they needed a more intensive support environment. And so they had those choices. At the elementary, we did have 2 students that were withdrawn due to an adult social situation going on. And then we did have a 5th kiddo that was withdrawn because his sibling had some behavior things up in the upper levels. And so transportation, you know, having your kids at different schools, that was a contributing factor to that. So a lot of it was consistent behavior referrals and those things. And I know that there have been discussions for the last 20 years of charter schools, right, where, oh, you wait until count day and then you start suspending kids, or then you start holding them accountable, get your money and then get rid of them, right? And that's not been something that we do.
Yeah.
And especially going into, I mean, the last couple of years, but especially with some of our leadership changes here at 29th Street and with our discipline dean, it was like from day one, these are our expectations, we're holding them, we do not deviate, right? You show compassion, you show grace, you try to work with families, you try to, you know, do all the interventions you can, but at the end of the day, we know we're not always the right place. for kiddos. And being that structured military environment, demanding a culture of respect, we know we're not perfect as a school, but that's what we try to, hold to. And that has been something that at 29th Street, the teachers have been dedicated this year, right? Like, we're doing it even in Spirit Week, right? We're gonna get through that. We got through homecoming week, guys. We all survived. And so that has contributed to some withdrawals. But then that would also, on the flip side, have contributed to kids staying, right? Because we're not having a lot of I've not had like a lot of bullying reports yet this year, right? Not to say that word's not thrown out a lot, because it does get thrown out. We've had those discussions. But it's consistent behavior, consistent expectations, equitable across the board, holding that line, and that's what's happened. And so that's one of those things where, from a financial standpoint, yes, we're down, but from a cultural standpoint, we are very much up. And so that's our number, and we are capable of navigating that number within the budget that we have. I don't really see much reason for us to even really need to go in and to amend where we're at. Of course we will, just so that, we're in alignment, but there's no reason for us to do drastic measures in response to that reduction. So there's your official ADM report for right now.
Yeah.
It'll get certified starting tomorrow. We'll go through that process, and
Do you know the, let's say, approximate breakout between virtual and in-class?
Let me see if I can pull up the official report, because
Or even just a
some of it,
approximate would do?
there's probably about 80-ish, 84.
About what we had last meeting then, yeah.
Yeah, it's not really grown tremendously. And that's been a difference this year already, where there's
Yeah.
not been a lot
Of course,
of
it's
the-
right here in front of me too on your CEO report.
It's got 85.
Yeah,
here
85.
For September.
September, yeah, so, yeah.
There's not been a lot of the him hawing back and forth where I want to go to virtual, I want to go in person. And that is something, obviously, and you guys know, coming up in November, Zach's going to be presenting. It's important that he will be. But to put some of those new policies before you that we've been discussing, right, about making sure that the students that are going into the virtual program are equipped to succeed in that
Right.
virtual program, right? And we did with some of those behavior situations that we had, especially early on. Well, I'll just put my kid in virtual, and I was like, the virtual program is not a behavior dumping ground, right? If your kid is going to be able to academically succeed in that environment and have, the structures, the supports, and all those things, then we can work through that. But if they're currently, being defiant, if they're going to be on a Google Meet and they're going to be cursing at each other, or, doing some of these behaviors in a virtual environment, you're setting your child up for failure, right? And so working through that with families, and that sounds kind of harsh, I guess, the way that I'm talking about it, but it's been a very organic coaching and approach, right? And that's, I guess, the changes that are coming, right? And that's the standard, APA, we have our standard. Feels like in some cases, right, we've had our hands tied a little bit on being able to fully enforce those point, but I know we're in a better place now through all that. And so when Zach presents, he'll talk through that, but that's impacted not seeing such a tremendous fluctuation. And, that he's actually seen a significant increase in attendance and actual doing the work and things. Of course, we still have, kids that are chronically, or attempting to become chronically absent. But we have new interventions in place for that too, that are helping. So I know we can talk more about that at another time, because we've got a new parent square feature that we're piloting at the elementary. Are you putting that in your presentation? Never mind, I'm not gonna talk about it then.
Well, and being
Look
online.
at that synergy.
To me, you have to, you know, as a parent, if I went on, took my kid online, there has to be more structure, because you have to make sure that your child's going to do what is expected of them. So, I mean,
Yeah,
that can be,
Well,
there's a
most
line
of the
there
heavy
that-
weighting is, of course, 10th through 12th grade, so they're certainly old enough to
Right.
know and understand what it's going to take,
Mhm.
whether they want to or do or not. It's
Wow.
always a
some
problem.
of that's
but-
gonna be a family dynamic.
And when they
to that
get,
age, too.
isn't it true, one of the arguments, I think, about going, let's say, trying to have a large virtual program, wasn't one of the arguments that grades and test scores suffer? But isn't it true that most of the testing is done by the time they get up to the 10th grade? So really,
Yes, and.
so I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, one of the things, and I mean, you're not talking about APA as that virtual program, right? Just in general.
In general,
In
yeah,
general.
you know.
The hardest part to me from the virtual perspective is it actually requires more family engagement and support. And then especially given kind of, you know, where we serve and, you know, that our families are working during the day. Well, if you're working during the day, who's watching your first grader and making sure that, one, they're safe. One of the things, and I don't want to steal a lot of Zach's thunder, but he started doing safety briefings with them each week on home safety, right? Like,
That's good.
there's some really cool elements, which again, I'm going to my mouth shut on a lot of them.
We'll wait until next time.
I know, but, right, like, if your first graders at home trying to do the work by themselves, or their, you know, 5-month-old siblings screeching in the background, because they do screech in the background, that support's not necessarily there.
Yeah.
One of the other things, obviously, you guys know that we have a higher population of students with special needs or unique needs in certain instances, and being able, one of the challenges that we're facing as a school right now, our speech language pathologists, we have 2 of them. They split time, one's 2 days, one's 3 days. It's through a contracted service, but it's all virtual. Speech therapy in a virtual environment, even for our in-person kids, it's we tried to find our own SLPs. If anybody's listening and you need a new future career, SLP is the way to go. You will make
Give
it
her
big.
7 years.
I know, we need Claire to really give
Give her 7 years.
But some of those really foundational services can't truly be done on a large
Right.
scale in that environment. And, you know, for us, especially at least with our elementary kiddos, our teacher is a licensed sped teacher who APA Online, the elementary teacher, which is John Hayden, right? He has those skill set, but you are still limited on what you can do in that environment. And so, but yes, test score is a huge thing, because I know that there's pay to play, right? Where school virtual environment are trying to incentivize getting kids to come to whatever central location is to take that iLearn test. Not even, you know, to pass it, right? Because we all know about that part, but just to show up and take the test. It's going to impact so many levels there, but at the bottom line is, in a lot of cases, virtual is not great for kids. Some kids, phenomenal.
Yeah,
Right.
I will say that myself as a student would have been fine in an APA online environment or a virtual environment. I have done basically 2.5 of my degrees in a virtual environment, and it's been great. I can work at my own pace. I don't necessarily have to do too many group projects, but it was horrific when I had to, right? Like, that was not great. But not a lot of kids can do that.
Yeah,
And
I
then-
can't think of very, very many that are mature enough at any age to do that.
Yeah, and then the familial
And then
support,
too,
of
even if
course.
test scores aren't involved, I think where George is coming from a military recruiter, which would be the same for any company that's recruiting good talent, if their grades go down, then that's not going to be good, because some of these companies, the military might say, well, if your grade point average is that low, we're not sure we even want you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that, I think that there's virtue in having it, and there's situations where it fits, but I don't think that there's very many kids that are that mature. I know I couldn't have handled it, I don't think.
Yeah, and I agree, and it's, obviously, we're all proponents of school choice, and that one school and one model doesn't fit every child.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And there are kids that are thriving in this environment, there are kids that, in the in-person environment, compared to where they are virtually, right, heads up and leaps and bounds above where they were when they were in that in-person part. And Zach has done a phenomenal job every year of evolving our program. What extra supports do we need in place? We had all these learning coaches to begin with, and then kids weren't taking advantage of it, or we couldn't connect and it wasn't working, and then we dialed that part down. Like, what if we do this social environment? What if we do this? What if we do that? This year I think we have 5 or 6 dedicated secondary teachers to be supports, because Zach was doing a lot of that high school part too. And elementary teachers are amazing, because especially they're fascinating to a secondary person like me, right? They are responsible to do math, science, social studies, reading, writing, all of that. I'm specialized in English, right? But to have Zach having to be specialized in 5,000 different content areas, or have supports there, right? Brilliant dude, but not a thing. So they're revamped, more supports in that place, but we do still have some engagement challenges, and so that's where, again, in November he'll tell you all those things. But so I digress off of that, but yeah, I think for us, ideally looking kind of at our virtual program, I think between that 70 and 85 part, that probably would be a good max for us, but it's going to depend every year on which kids
Well,
we
yeah.
have,
Yep. Yeah.
how they're succeeding, what their life circumstances are, and those things. But I feel like that's a manageable number for us right now. So we shall see how that
Now,
all
that's
shapes
at the
up.
November meeting,
Mhm.
and let's see, Keith, didn't you indicate that your crew is going to be here at the November meeting?
The board meeting I came to tonight,
Yeah.
so we're gonna be here that week.
That number
Jill,
up.
Oh, okay.
To visit
I was
classrooms.
gonna say, that would be an informative one,
And
but
actually,
Zach, I think there was some discussion
That
about
number's higher.
virtual, how many kids we wanted to have and that.
Yeah, so I don't know if we'll be to that one or
Oh,
not, that's why I
okay.
came tonight, but I know we'll be there that week to
Okay.
do a site visit, but we may, it just depends on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And they'll be meeting with Zach when they.
Well, yeah, that's right, so, yeah.
Yeah, and that is a thing. Elise pointed out some of our demographic data that has grown. So when I had my original report together, we were at 6.23% that qualify or classify as homeless in McKinney-Vento. As of today, we're at 11.44%.
Oh my gosh.
Now, wasn't there one large family that sort of skewed the numbers up, or is it really 11 different situations?
It's 52 children right now.
Regardless,
Oh, boy,
it's
yeah.
still,
Wow.
And we currently have 17 that are currently in foster care. So looking at our population of that 741, 69 of those kids are either identified as homeless or in foster care. And there are more that we could identify in that homeless category. So that does create some challenges.
Yes,
Right.
wow.
So, but we work on that a lot. Okay, so next part to talk to you about, staffing wise, I know that we updated that, so we went through that interview process with the athletic director back in late July, early August. After that all played out, that did go internally to Ryan Fathauer, which opened up his health and PE position. And that has actually been an interesting challenge to fill. We've had a lot of interviews and candidates, but none have actually made it through onboarding yet with Adam. So we're working on that. I think we've got a direction right now, but we'll see. We're substituting or supplementing, I guess, with long-term subs or regular subs. Ryan is still doing the curriculum for it. He's still doing the lesson planning. He's grading the papers, all that. So we are obviously compensating him for doing double duty as well.
So what grade is that? Because I was thinking that Bradford, they like slot places, so no.
So the chain of events, Elliot Jackson resigned this summer to go full-time with his landscaping business.
Okay.
Which then gave Bradford an opportunity to go to that position, which is mainly high
Okay.
school.
So, okay.
And then, so then that opened up Bradford's position. And then we had a lot of candidates, external and internal, for that. And ended up being Ryan, so then it opened Ryan's position. We've had a unique last 2 months of internal promotions, opening positions up. So obviously with CJ Miller's departure, Jordan Henry moved into that position. We had held off on filling Jordan's position because we wanted to make sure that we knew which skill set we needed to fill. And that academic role gave Jordan some time to evaluate his own time in that role. He worked with Adam and myself, who've both been in that role previously as well. Came up with a really robust job description. We'll go with that. I'm like, wow, that's pretty legit there, sir. And then we went through the interview process with that, which took a few weeks. Went through, just like we did with the AD, went through 2 rounds of interviews. Adam and myself and Jordan interviewed with the last group of the academic part, and ended up, it was down to an internal, external candidate, and we went with an internal, Christine Trotter. And so that has opened up her teaching position. And then we had another internal teacher want to take Christine's teaching position. So we are round robining it. We've got it narrowed down. So now the middle school science position is open, but we actually just hired, and she started yesterday. So that position is filled. So right now, and I know we've got HR here with us, I think right now our current openings, we are going through a hiring process for special ed aide. Oh, I didn't talk about Brianne either. My bad, guys. And the health PE teacher are our major vacancies right now. But like I said, with the special ed instructional aide, it's a high school position, and I do know we have a candidate that we're offering to. I don't know status on that yet, but oh, she said yes. Hey, we got that filled.
Oh,
Check
very
it off
good.
the list, everybody. Yeah. So still health PE. And then that is one. So Brianne Brown has moved down to the discipline office. So that's kind of where we're at staffing wise right now. We do have an elementary position that is going to be open right now. And with that position right now, in the best interest of the kiddos, because of the class sizes, we're able to take those kids and put them in with the certified teacher that's already there. And then we can work on making sure that to open that classroom, we are getting a highly qualified teacher to support that transition. So that has nothing to do with us as a school, just life circumstances. And so we're working through that.
Well, I have been very impressed over the years that I think we have a fairly deep bench to draw from.
Mhm.
And I think that, I see that as a real plus, because I know in past years when we have had to interview for, let's say, higher level positions, what came to us from outside of here was rather lacking. So I think it is critical that we continue to try to promote from within and develop that multi-talented or a depth. So I think that is a point in our favor. And before we get too far from your original discussion, going back to, let's see, I've been on the board from almost the beginning, and I can assure you that the, let's say, the founding fathers, as we call them, which would be board management, all of the board members would wholeheartedly agree that, sure, the more kids, the more money. But our position has been, from the beginning, we never sought to be the largest school. But we are a school of choice that wants to maintain discipline and sets high standards. At the same time, we're willing to work for special needs, as long as we'll work with anybody if they're willing to work for us. I think that is a reasonable approach. And so, yeah, I think all of the board members that have been here would say, bravo. If the kids don't want to fit in here, they have other alternatives. And of course, it makes it a little tough to adjust the cost structure when we have these big unexpected drops, but we will adjust. And if we have a smaller school, but yet it's top-notch quality, more kids will want to come here. So I think you don't worry about any of the boards or founding fathers or anything saying, wow, what are we running these kids off for? No, that's been the idea from the beginning, is we want to maintain tough standards even though it's a tough community to do that. So,
Well, hey, thanks.
Yeah.
We appreciate that.
okay, well,
Yeah, and I will say, you bring up a really great point there, Dave. With our leadership team, we are at a point now that every single person in our admin team has actually been a classroom teacher or even a classroom aide.
mm-hmm.
They are all in those leadership positions now, which is kind of cool. Some of us actually got to teach in the classrooms together during that era. You can kind of see the eras of people. But, I mean, obviously we have one that's been a student here too, so that's cool. I'm only saying that because he's in the room. But it brings a unique perspective, right? And if you think about your home, small town schools, right, those hometown feel, a lot of the admin, they were students at this school. They were teachers at this school. And, we've seen that with our own teachers, right? Some of our teachers that are currently in teaching positions started off with us as substitutes, or an instructional aide, and we've worked with them to help them go to college. I will give a shout out because Ball State's here, but we like them anyway. They're helping us with scholarships through the Office of Charter Schools for transition to teaching, to help get teachers certified, right? Strengthen that pool, but there's also something to be said for external candidates, right? They do bring in new perspective, new ideas, and can really challenge us to grow.
Yeah, we're not eliminating that yet,
Right.
but still.
But it's also, you don't want to just bring that in just to break up. Let's liven it up a little bit, right? It's lively enough around here on most days.
And then with our Civil Air Patrol and the military flavor, people coming in, that is something that they may know nothing about, and that might be a difficult adaptation perhaps.
Well, and that admittedly was a big adjustment for me, right? And I came in year 2, but coming from teaching in Indy and being in a different kind of environment, and then coming up here, the military aspect does take a little bit to get used to. Did you have your hand up, Angie?
Yeah.
The teacher eyes, right? Like nobody saw that.
The stadium bleacher, it said you were going to work on it the weekend before homecoming.
Yes. So
I was just going to ask the status of that since that's passed.
didn't happen. Actually, we're in the process of getting it power washed. So we're going through an industrial company to come in and really get it off. Update for Clara, they're going to do the sides of the stadium, of those bleachers too, to start getting that peeling paint and stuff for part of her project. She's really going to be doing this project where she likes it or not.
You know what?
Yeah, and
All for it.
I told this contractor, I'm like, so here's the plan for like this side, And he was like, I would love to come and help donate some of my time for that part
nice.
too, when you guys get in there. I'm like, oh, I'm sure that whole building inside needs power wash.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, so, so that part's gotta happen first before we can do that, and then figure out if Indiana weather can cooperate with us. I know this second summer, third, whatever version of summer we're on has been lovely, but you know, the winter is gonna mess with us soon.
Mhm.
One of the things that we have coming up, October 25th, we are actually hosting Harvest Fest. You guys will start seeing
Yep.
that.
That's awesome.
So we have a community partnership with the Village and Living Water Church, and have been working with them for about 2.5 months or so. I got a text from Liz Jackson who said, hey, do you guys happen to know who owns that land behind Payless over kind of by Jimbo's? And I was like, do I know who owns that land? APA, we do.
Yeah.
And he goes, what do you guys use it for? I'm like, it's beautiful. It's a nice green grass area, and our cross country team runs out there.
Yes,
and
they do.
softball practices there, and he asked if we'd be willing to partner. Of course. So it's basically block party in a box. This group comes and they do this. They bring all the food, all the stuff, and I'm like, well, I've got the land and parking. We're good.
Nice.
And so should be a cool event for us. There will be community vendors, not necessarily selling vendors, but community partnership vendors. We'll have a booth there to kind of engage and all that, and then plan on probably doing this in a seasonal aspect and really working there. And it's great to see that outreach grow, because as a school, we are in the perfect location. We're the heart of 46016, a really great gathering place. And although we are a small but mighty staff, it would be great to have 1 million community partners come in and do events like this, because then we can actually pull it off. That's awesome. Yeah. Right now, we're half split here, half split out of the soccer sectional.
Well, is that something that the students can be involved in for volunteer services as well?
Yes,
To help
ma'am.
maintain cleanliness
Mhm.
and all that
Yes.
kind of good stuff too?
Yeah, set up,
Perfect.
tear down, and, go through and all that.
Perfect, because we want to keep that nice and pretty and green.
Oh, yes, we do. Yes, that was definitely one of my number one things is, the way the APA rolls is we clean up and immediately, not like, hey, we'll get it next week or whatever, so. But yeah, so we will, perfect opportunity for service for our kiddos. Let's see, facility-wise, nothing on there has changed since I rented that, as far as I know, besides it's a little warm in here. Auditors, we have submitted documentation. They've already visited our friends at Bookkeeping Plus. They'll be back. So Ball State will be here the week of November 10th. Auditors will be here the week of November 24th. So they'll be here Thanksgiving week. And then we should be through that part. I will say I met with the auditors last week. I met with Kyla and Ski, and single audit is in limbo right now, because the federal government has not released the single audit guidelines. I feel like they're all tied up right now
Or
doing
they
other
may
things.
have all got laid off, probably.
You know what? No comment. I don't know. I just stay in my peaceful little APA land.
Yeah.
So single audit is paused, and then once the guidance does come out, then they will navigate that. But I don't know. We may have to do that after audit. It may be a second part, but it'll be fine. So charter renewal process, obviously you guys know that's what we've been working on. And I did include with your packets, I believe there should be what the site visit information is going to be. I have a meeting tomorrow with Jamie Garwood because I need to talk about some data, because we have found some data reporting errors with the state, which are uniquely entertaining. I'll say that, because they pull the data from our student information system, so it should be accurate, but it's not quite there. So meeting with Jamie tomorrow to discuss that, and then Dawn Miller is actually going to be the lead on our visit. Dawn was with us during the midterm review. And she and I are meeting on Friday as well. Stotty, I've invited Stotty and Jordan to be a part of that, and then Brielle, because Brielle's gonna be our site liaison while they're here to make sure everything operates the way it's supposed to. So once we go through that meeting with Dawn, then we'll start talking about how we're gonna send out surveys to the staff to see who wants to be part of focus groups, and then start getting them scheduled, inviting parents, schedule you guys that are able and all that. But wanted to give you that document just so you know.
So, yeah, just let me know, because I'm gonna be going like this
Okay,
at that
yes.
point, because that should be around the time frame before my second surgery,
Mhm.
and I'll still be home.
You've had your first surgery?
Oh, no.
No, oh, no.
Thursday.
They're okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Thursday.
That's pretty
Yeah.
severe.
Do we need a quorum on Saturday?
No, we do not. No, Saturday, just work session, go through some more of our strategic plan part, but also updating some of the charter application.
Now, is that meeting here or somewhere in person? It sounded like the way you worded it, you said it was boardable. I thought that's a virtual meeting,
Oh,
and
no.
you guys know I was a tech dinosaur, but I was recently downgraded to the equivalent of the headhunters and cannibals in Borneo, New Guinea.
Oh,
So
congratulations.
yeah, that stuff is beyond me.
No,
But I
it's
can
in
show
person.
up anywhere I'm needed,
Yeah,
so,
no.
okay, good.
It'll be in person, and it'll just be going through to review more of the renewal documents, see if there's anything else we need to update. I know one of the things that we do want to revise, which will make Angie very happy, is the grammatical and punctuation errors in the bylaws. So have that on the list. I did say they're under revision, so Keith, at the under revision, it's really grammar. But that'll give us a chance to kind of knock the rest of those
Okay.
updates out.
I'll be here then whenever.
But, yep, we'll go through that, but no, we don't have to have quorum or anything. It's not an official meeting, it's just basically a board work session on that.
Because I cannot attend.
Okay.
so.
Alright, well, I'll make sure you have digital of everything.
Okay.
And I did convert the bylaws into a Word document,
Nice.
so you can go through with your red pen too. It's nice having another like English brain here where it's like, oh yeah, boom, boom, boom. Like,
So I recall the Ball State Attorney wrote those bylaws, so I'm sure that they're very much in line with everything, so that
they
should
are-
make it simpler there.
They just-
Getting a little jab at
Oh,
people
well,
around.
it's not Ball State's fault. I think some of it was when it was converted because,
Oh, it's been quite a while, yeah.
Yeah.
Although I think Mike and Lori updated those, I believe, yeah.
yeah, and I think someone took a PDF and put it into a Word document, and so I think that's what
Oh.
been a little bit, it throws like a dollar sign in the middle
Yep.
of a word or
Mm.
whatever.
Nothing ever transfers cleanly.
Yeah,
Never.
true.
No,
true.
no, no, it does not. And just a point of fact for anybody that's not familiar, if you are a Microsoft person working in Google for collaboration and delegation purposes, if you download that into a Word document to upload it, it does kill all of your formatting and your links, and amazingly enough leaves your team's comments and work assignments on there. And so we do have some revisions on our charter renewal to update that.
Also, I
I
have
learned that the
learned
hard way.
if you upgrade to Windows 11, which you're going to be forced to do very soon, you cannot successfully download your spreadsheets to somebody that's still on the Windows 10 Office or even something earlier. You
So
have to
Windows is
convert
getting
it.
on that Apple
Yeah.
approach too.
So that's why I wanted to get this stuff out before I had to convert over, but anyhow.
All right, so that concludes all of my updates that I have.
Thank you.
Sorry, that was definitely a very long, this is why I
Well,
typically write these out for
very
you all.
necessary, very necessary discussion.
But
I
it's
appreciate that.
been some time.
Thank you, everyone. Any other further discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed. Motion carries. Thank you for that. Thank you, Joe, for that information. Yes. All right, next thing on the agenda is our financial report.
Okay,
I'll turn
now,
the floor over to Mr.
I think
Dean.
my
Yes.
mic is not working, so I've been told to face our friends from Bookkeeping Plus here. Okay, and there's a mic
He can
there.
hear you fine.
Can you hear me? Okay. I think everybody has a copy of what I like to call my script. It's basically the, let's say, the high points that I saw when I looked at, let's say, our raw data, the numbers for August here. And so let's begin. You'll notice that I always ask the question, what has changed since our last board meeting? Well, you'll notice in the summary figures, the key metrics above at the top, the first thing I do is I compare what we projected for year-end results at the last board meeting, which was actuals through the end of July, with where we are now at the end of August. And you'll see that our cash net loss, well, actually, last meeting we did have a very slight cash gain of about $16,000. If you'll recall, the budget that the board passed in May for 25-26 school year was a completely total break-even budget. So last month we thought we might be a little bit higher than that. This month, as you can see, it looks like we will be a little bit below break-even at $53,710. And we started off, thanks to the my first sentence there under what has changed, is just reminding us that we got very good fortune back in May of last school year when we were able to receive a $282,000 employer retention grant, including interest with that, for a total of, did I put the total anywhere? I don't think I did. It seems like it was about $289,000 somewhere, something like that. And I think that is probably going to be the last of the COVID relief programs in action there, but that enabled us to cut our cash loss last year to $152,000, and it put us at the highest beginning or ending cash level, cash reserve or cash balance, however you prefer to describe that we've had in several years, about $641,000. So the employee retention credit, and then we did receive our first installment of the state innovation grant in July, which was a little earlier than we thought it might be, and that was in the amount of $588,000 some dollars. So we're off to a very good start for this year because of that. And let's see here. That I will go down to my second sentence there, or group of sentences, and then I'll jump back up to the numbers there at the top of the page. We do know, as we talked about last meeting, our federal grants, which would be with the relief programs and some of the special one-time only grants have disappeared. So federal spending now is pretty much our titles, programs. Your last CE report, you mentioned we may pick up $10,000 from the Title III, which is probably a one-time deal. But so every little bit helps. And the federal special ed support. If you average all of those, it's about 34% lower. And you can see I have changes and percentages. Again, you can go through the details here as you have time for. But that's not a good situation for sure. But the good news is it was partially offset by higher state support this year. And I think if you compare the two, it looks like we're about so that's rounded up, called about 7% higher. And I broke that down into specifics for you here. Our basic support is 5.5% higher. because we always have plenty of special needs kids. That money is 18.9% higher, honors 9%, and if we take our state grants as a whole, we're only about 2% lower than we had been. So we're off to a pretty good start here. We have a lot going for us, even though there are certainly with these new numbers, which are not reflected in my pre-meeting report, because we were still hoping that we might hold around our budgeted 755, but it's not to be. So we will have to. I think it may be. It may be fair to say that we may have to work very hard to break even. But we have handled these downturns before, and we can do it again. So there's no need to panic. But if we do end up this year with a 50, call it a 54, I try to round up on these numbers here, $54,000 cash loss, that would bring our cash balance down to $587,000, which we'd like it a little higher, but still that is a solid figure for us. So we'll take all of the good news. Now, going back up to the summary table here, hopefully we've gone through this format so many times that I think we're all pretty adept at reading through this. So if I feel free to, in the interest of time, to maybe jump around just a little bit so we can get through this as quickly as possible. But you'll notice that it looks like from last meeting to this meeting, if you look at our total income and total expense, it's like, wow, what happened? Total income's 200 and some thousand higher, and expenses 298,000. But the bottom line is pretty much the same. Well, down to 0.3. Under what has changed, actually not much has changed, but what is skewing all of our numbers higher is not a bad thing at all, actually, but Jill and I signed off on the $234,000 loan, which is being used to buy computers. And it comes also with the warranty insurance that you discovered, and we've had great success with in prolonging the life of those computers, so we don't have to keep going back to the bank so often. So basically, that's what's causing the spike in numbers. And I might mention at this time too that I did get some feedback, which is on the back of your handout. I got some feedback from Sandy, which was very much appreciated, and she did note and corrected me that the computer purchase was in the budget, but it was only $20,000 some dollars. So I guess how I described it was, I guess when I said it wasn't in there, it was in there, but it was such an insignificant amount compared that's what was causing that big spike up, over what our budget was. In other words, the budget variances that we seek to analyze to see if that is just a timing issue, or if maybe it's indication or red flag of some problem that we need to jump on top of.
Yeah, because the biggest difference is that the small amount is because it's the payments that we're making to the bank.
Yes.
That's what it's for. So,
Now,
so they know it's not just that we didn't budget it. It's just we knew we were going to be financing
Mhm.
that, and that's what's in the budget for the
Okay.
cash flow purposes.
And I think that has been in the budget, in the debt service amount with the budget
Correct,
originally?
because
Yes.
that's what it is. It's
That's
debt,
what I
so
was
that is
thinking.
correct. But that is
Okay.
in there, and that's what we budgeted for, which we've done that in the past as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So that's the same thing.
Mm-hmm. I'm thinking that basically we bought, and down there when we get into the August and looking at September results, we didn't purchase all of the computers in August. We purchased 187,000. We'll purchase the rest, 46,000 in September. And since we didn't sign the loan until 9/15, I'm thinking that we had to take out of cash for the original purchase, and then when we get the loan proceeds, we'll reimburse ourselves. And then, like you said, the debt service has taken that into account from day one. So, and for those that were interested, I put in the specifics there as to the rate. It's a fixed rate, 3-year, 6.95% annual payments. And as we talked about last meeting, good news again, we have 5 of our loans, 3 the mortgage, and 2, one was bleachers, another was computer. Those are all maturing in early 26-27 in the summer. And so I forget the number or the dollar amount of monthly annual payments that we would not be making any longer. I don't have that on my note sheet here, but if you subtract our newest loan, we've got about 193,000 that we would have been paying that are free to do something else.
I'm sorry,
So,
could you
sure.
restate what are the 3 loans that will be paid off?
Oh, okay.
What were those 3? I'm sorry.
The 3 loans, we had 4 mortgage loans. And we have 2 mortgage loans for the 29th Street. That purchase price was so large that we had to split them between 2 institutions. And then the third one was the 22nd Street property. And of course, we rolled all of that into Main Source, which is now our bankers at First Financial. And then the mortgage loan, which actually is the smallest monthly amount, 3,000 something, which does not expire until 2029, is the 25th Street on our original building where it all started. And then the 2 3-year loans that are expiring would be the loans for the bleachers and the loans for a prior purchase of computers. You probably all best remember those as the ones that the bankers made us, they had made us sign the loan the last day of the fiscal year, knowing that we wouldn't spend anything until the next year, which threw our accountings and variances and everything totally out of whack.
Okay, thank you.
So that's probably the easiest way to remember those. Okay, so let's see.
Sorry, I didn't mean to-
No, that's okay here. And get back with me if you,
Dave,
yes, jump
Just on those
in.
computers, I just wanted to clarify.
Sure.
Because you were correct in saying that we would be receiving that money for the computer loans in September.
Mhm.
We do have that on the cash flow, so that's already accounted for. If you look on that first page, it says loan proceeds,
Mhm.
and it's got that showing in there. So it's already in the cash flow moving forward.
Okay.
And as you mentioned, the expense was paid in August, and then the balance is paid in
Mhm.
September. So that's all in that cash flow.
Okay, very good then. Let's see, the next, is there anything up above at the top that we need to comment on? I think it's self-explanatory. You can compare also, I left in the column way over at the right. It shows our pre-audit year in from last year and the percent change from our latest projection for this year. So again, and this is all in that pre-meeting review for those that want to examine that closer. And if there's any follow-up questions, Angie, just let me know and I can help you fill in anything that I'm not explaining crystal clear tonight. So let's see. And another thing that happened on 9/15 was we did increase our line of credit from $75,000 to $500,000. And Jill, the explanation, I think, for that is, as I recall, that line of credit will be used to cover our pre-K daycare expenses because the CSP loan, like just about everything else except Innovation Grant, we have to spend our money first and then seek reimbursement.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah, that's part of that. Obviously, when you have so many grants like we do, cash flow can be an issue,
Yeah,
especially
yeah.
because majority, all federal, are reimbursable. And so with having a $2 million grant, which, we need to exhaust within the next 13 months, one of the reasons that we've been delayed in that, besides waiting for the actual fully executed contract that didn't come until, end of May, was not messing with the cash flow. Because, I'm not going to go out and spend $2 million cash, and that's not really exactly where we are equipped as an organization. And so being able to do it that way makes us be able to do that grant. Also, any of our other grants, right? It's not exclusive to just that purpose. And it just gives us that flex there. The only time that we've accessed that previously, we paid it off like within 2 days. And part of what we have set up on the line of credit is that as soon as we get our reimbursement, it goes into the separate account and the bank sweeps it, so that we're not going to have a lot of interest build up or any of that, because obviously we want to be fiscally responsible while also being able to take care of that. So
Okay.
there's a little bit longer winded explanation.
Okay. Let's see. I'll skip my next sentence here about the pre-K and say, because I think that some input from Bookkeeping Plus would really be useful on that. We, of course, our security expense, if you look at that line item, it's quite a bit higher. It's up to a little over 100,000 now, but we have a new security officer, so his salary, I've added a line item for that, and then our, let's call it supplies, our non-comp expense is about $44,000. And is that, I believe, is offset or matched by the Indiana Safety Grant. Am I correct?
Not on that.
Not in that,
So,
okay.
What we need to, originally Nate was budgeted in the instructional category.
Okay, because he's an existing employee.
Correct.
Yes, that's what I was thinking, but I couldn't
But,
recall who
yes.
that was.
So now that he is down into that full SRO role, he's no longer in our instructional
Yeah.
category. He's down there. So it's a wash, give or take. It's just a relocation. And as far as the school secured safety grant goes, Nate is actually collateral for us. He is part of our matching for that grant. So they give us the 92.5. We also have to invest 92.5 into our security programs,
Which we
and all that.
have done, yeah.
Right. And we expend a lot more than that 92.5 in a year, but yes, his salary will count towards our match for the 92.5.
Well, I think over 100,000 on the security, I think shows that we are serious about spending the bucks to do whatever it takes to feel secure. And then my last sentence here, looks like our subs right now, we are under budget. We'll see if that holds. I threw in our last 2 years sub expense, $355,000 for, or no, that's health insurance. Let's see here. Oh, $133,000 last year, $134,000 the year before. We think we can get in around 65 this year, and we'll have to see on that. And then also another one we track is our net health premiums. We're below budget there, and it looks like the marketplace is saving us a lot of money versus if we had been on our, let's say, private carrier insurance. So
I will agree with that, but I will say the federal government and those things are shifting.
yes,
Yes.
yeah.
So that is when I met with our insurance guys, because we're already going through renewal, because we renew January 1st or December 31st, I guess. And that pretty much all the major carriers on the marketplace they have to get approval, but they have been asking between 20 and 20%, or 20% and 27% in increases for premiums. So obviously that is regulated, but when you look at the economy and the state of how things are and all that, don't see them totally being knocked down too many pegs on that figure.
Mhm.
And so they are currently running scenarios for me, but it still makes much more sense fiscally for us as well as for our employees to stay on ICRA
Mhm.
versus trying to go for a large carrier. We did examine that piece or idea of it, but because of the health of our group and the size of our group, right? You know, a United or an Anthem, like why we went to ICRA, they wanted to increase our premiums by
Yeah.
103%. So, but like you said, we're under right now,
Mhm.
right? Because we build in buffers. So
Yeah.
we're gonna navigate that, but
Okay, the last part then,
thanks. You know,
let's see,
that's
let me,
fine.
the last part is the monthly, August. I left in the line for July so you can compare. July was a big month for us because we got that big innovation grant. And August, not so good. It was originally budgeted with a cash loss of about 161,000. And actual was a little bit higher at $263,000 loss. I show the accrual net. Where you can compare that cash basis versus the accrual net. They're showing a modest 30,000 profit. Ending cash, you can see the figures there. We were at 981,000 at the end of July. We're down a little bit to 718. The bank's required debt service coverage ratio. That's a hard one. It's not easy to forecast that because that's an accrual measurement. Last year we didn't make it. We came in, I think, at
We
zero
did make
point.
it.
We did make it last year at
Oh, you mean
0.72.
For the audited year, the non-audited year.
Well, it
you're
hadn't
not
been
sure.
audited yet, so yeah. This year we're showing 1.38, so we'll see how that unfolds. In September, we're projecting a $51,000 cash net income profit, ending cash there. And then you can see at the very bottom the staging of the actual purchases. So that's, again, our variance between actual and budget. Sometimes you see a big variance, which may be either favorable or unfavorable. In this month, all of those variances, for the most part, were caused by the loan and the purchase. So easy enough to understand. And P&C insurance was well over budget, but that's simply a timing issue. The way that you can tell is look at your projected year end for the line item, and even if it looks like it's out of whack in 1 month, if it's right on budget for year end, it's just timing. Now, the only thing that I did not mention here, and if there's any questions or other topics we need to discuss, please feel free to jump in. I think if you guys are willing to, could you explain to us the line on, if you're looking at it on the computer screen, it's line 109.
It's the CSP line, I know what it is.
Yes, and
So what it is,
yeah, explain
and
that.
the reason why it shows negative on the future months is because there's expenses in the budget. They're gonna be allocated against the CSP. And there is, we're gonna meet with Jill to go over some budget changes potentially, but it's not like, she's getting school started and, going through a lot of things, ADM and blah, blah, blah.
Renewal, it's fine, it's fine, I got time.
Yeah.
I've been in Hawaii.
Yeah, so we're gonna be meeting to go over that, but that's what those are items.
Oh, a
that are
meeting in Hawaii.
In the budget that are in the full budget, but they're gonna be allocated against that. And then in the first couple months, it's like the reimbursements that we're waiting on and the expenses that have been incurred so far, which is the variance between those.
Mhm.
So those are gonna go up and down, I'll be honest, on ours, because we try to keep it the same on the cash flow that you look at.
Right.
Each month. I actually have it where I can see, I've got it collapsed, but I see what money comes in and what money's gone out, so that I can see where it is, and this is just the net result of it.
Yes.
But
mhm.
it will adjust itself as we spend those monies each month, and it'll come against that CSP.
Now, I think the
which we
beginning
have to ask for
grant,
reimbursement.
the CSP grant on the budget was $540,000. And
Correct.
then we know that as we incur expenses, and then we take those expenses, and of course, any money that comes in, which won't be much until we get the thing up and running, I suspect, will net the expenses down. So it's sort of like a income statement for just the pre-K operation, I think.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's what it is, because they've been budgeted in, like, let's just say instructional, they may be budgeted in there, but a portion of their salary is for that. So let's just say half of it. So half of it then would be, in the month that it happens, will be then allocated up there. And then we will have, like, the next month, you're gonna see an adjustment for the reimbursement that we anticipate receiving.
Yes,
There's a
yes.
couple, like I said, there's a couple things that we're gonna have to do some, a budget amendment, and then we'll be able to go ahead and then allocate and get those in there. But that's what's causing it, is we wanna make sure that we're not overstating things or
Right.
understating things.
And-
And that's where it is.
Now,
So
that
it is
amount-
confusing, but we're making sure that it is correct.
The amount on that line, be it positive or negative, is included in G&A. It shows sort of as a separate line. In fact, when I was recasting it into my little table there, I double counted it. It took me a while to figure out why it was off. But is that what we want to do? Because I think want the idea to keep those numbers separate.
Well, the problem is there's twofold, so.
Yeah.
It's keeping it separate because we need to, but second problem is we have to keep it in there for tax purposes
Ah.
because it's all under the same EIN number. So we have to keep it together and separate, sort of. So
Oh,
that's the
okay.
problem. I mean, so
Yeah.
you have to have reporting.
Well, that's an angle I hadn't thought of before.
Yeah.
I don't think
and-
anybody else
And that's the
had.
problem, is I have to keep it that way because of tax
Mhm.
purposes.
Okay.
I mean, I know you're a nonprofit, but you're 990.
Well, yeah, we
has to
filed
be
990,
with
yep.
all of the income and expenses in there, so.
Now, those are
we
due
don't have a
here, I
choice.
think, by November 15th. Is that the same for our school?
Yes.
Yeah,
it is.
okay,
No,
yeah,
No,
or-
no, 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 it's
Oh,
not,
okay, I
because
know, I
yours is
gotta
third.
get one
November
filed
15th
for-
is if you're a 12/31 year end, and you're not.
Yeah.
So,
You're 6/30, so you're 5 months after, and then you can get a 6-month extension. Which, to be honest, you always get a 6-month extension, because your audit's gotta get done first, and especially based on what Jill just said,
Mhm.
with a single audit having issues and not being the forms, that it's gonna be pushing the envelope to get that 990 done timely.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be with every charter school, to be honest.
Yep.
You know, so, that's just the way it is.
yeah,
Okay.
and Dave, we are working with CLA, right, to make
Mhm.
sure that all of this is going exactly the way, it should be,
Right.
with having them separated out. And, soon we'll be able to start doing, like, here's that separate report.
Well, yeah, when we really get up and running,
And when
yeah,
it-
it's kind of a modest
And part of
operation now.
the grant part, right, and I will clarify, when she says the budget amendment, we're talking about for the grant,
Mhm.
because we need to
Correct.
amend that, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, thank you.
But some of us, right, are doing, yes, I'm doing all the K-12 part two, but I'm also doing this portion, so part of that's.
Well,
getting
a portion of our
reimbursed.
fees are in there as well.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of
Mhm.
different things that we factor into that we've got to keep track of. And we've had, before this all started, because we wanted to make sure there were no comments on the audit on how it was to be handled,
Mhm.
we had a conversation with CLA, and Jill obviously was on that call as well, making sure that there are no issues with that, and they agreed that it has to be with it included because
Okay.
of the EIN number.
Well, I think that what I'm hearing, that should satisfy anybody that says, well, wait a minute, you can do your pre-K, but you can't mingle it with the charter. Well, I think there's a lot of factors that perhaps everybody needs to consider, some of which I think we're now learning. And then too, I mean, one could argue that the board pretty much relies on our cash budget. And that's not, I don't believe, an official accounting, that's not officially part of the audit anyhow, that's just a management tool for us. So if that's the best way for us to track that, and we need to for tax purposes, I don't think there should be any real problem. Yeah, and then even if you have in business, for example, manufacturing I know about, but if you have a consolidated entity with various subsidiaries, there is a standard accounting procedure for handling all kinds of intercompany sales and transfers, And so
And
that's.
there's charter schools that have multiple charters. Like we do several schools that have like 5, 6, 8 charters,
Mhm.
and we do individuals, but then we have to do consolidated.
Yeah.
We have to do fronts between
Right.
all of them. But the bottom line is they're all one EIN, so we have to do
Yeah,
consolidated.
that's
So-
right.
And when they go to do audit, it's all as one unit. So
Okay.
they may be for DOE purposes because it's different school ID corp numbers, which
Mhm.
obviously that's what, so we're trying to satisfy everybody, you know.
Well, it sounds to me
requirements.
like that you've covered
We
all
still
of our
bottom line have
bases,
to follow
yes.
what the IRS wants based off of our EIN.
Well, I think, yeah, if the IRS is happy and, and the auditors are happy and we're following generally accepted accounting principles, I don't see how anyone then could say, well, you guys can't do it this way. I don't
Oh, yeah,
know.
because we have gap statements. I mean, that's the financials are based off of this. This is just, again, to make sure that for cash flow purposes, that we are
Right.
obviously cash flowing and we're maintaining and really being mindful of our cash.
Mhm.
So that's, that's the difference between the two, but they're both equally as important.
Right. Okay. Well, that's all I have. Hopefully, we didn't take too long on that.
I think we're good.
Thank you for that, Dave, at all. Can I get a motion?
Thanks, guys.
And thank you, Bookkeeping Plus, for that. Can I get a motion to approve the financial reports as presented this evening?
I'll make a motion to approve the financial reports as presented this evening.
We have a motion,
I'll second.
second. Any further discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Dave, for your report for that, and thank you, Bookkeeping Plus, as well there too. for your
Yes,
time this
very much
evening.
so.
We appreciate it as well.
Alright.
Awesome. Thanks,
Thank
Ben.
you.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you.
Bye, Sandy.
Hi.
We'll see you, Sandy. All right, next thing on the agenda is under new business. We have an APA spotlight this evening, or APA discussed from Captain
We've
Stonemeyer.
heard all that already.
Yes.
You know. Here, you,
You need me to move or anything?
we can move wherever you need us
You
to.
can use the cribs. Still so weird that there are cribs.
I need a clip or something. I'm used to having a clip.
There was reasons that I should not do stuff like this. I considered the clip, but then I couldn't figure out what would be the appropriate size one, and I gave up.
That's fine.
My
blame
resiliency
you.
can only go so far.
Well, Keith,
Plus,
did it
this
sound
can snap and bite
okay?
my fingers.
All right.
That's an issue.
I was hoping Jamie'd be here tonight. I let her do the treasurer's report, but I know she loves to do the numbers
Yeah,
and
I'll be
the
talking
county.
tomorrow. I'll let her know that.
Yeah.
She was missed. Why can't I make this work? It's very picky.
There we go.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hello.
Thanks for having me tonight. Captain Stottlemyre here, principal of the elementary, here to spotlight the elementary and all the great work that is happening here at the elementary. So to get us started, just carried over from last year, we always start with an enrollment update. So here at the elementary, we have 255 students in person. We have 13 elementary students online in Mr. Borson's virtual program. So across the district, we have 268 elementary aged kids. So this picture here that you're looking at, that is our newest kindergarten class. So every year we get the kindergartners their class shirts. I think we're on the class of 2037 this year.
Oh my
Now
gosh.
that's
Yes.
Well, this
38.
will probably be the
That's
same
38.
board.
When you're
then,
on class
won't
You're
it?
getting up there,
2038,
man, 2038.
So this is our newest kindergarten class, and those are the kindergarten teachers and assistants in the back row, and then there's me. So super excited with this kindergarten class that we have this year. So I tried to tailor this presentation a certain way. So try to focus on some of the 3 big things that we've worked on since the spring semester. So I want to review our wildly important goals, which at the elementary we refer to as WIGs. So our WIGs always surround academic performance. So we know that our academic data is showing progress and growth, but it's not where we need it to be yet. So we're taking steps to help get our data where it needs to be. So our our WIG for the elementary is we want 95% of our students in math and ELA to make at least a year's worth of growth over the next 5 years. So we don't expect to get to 95% this year. We don't expect next year. That would be great if we do, but we want to continuously make progress towards that. So we tried, my team and I tried to take a big step back and try to identify the root causes, what is currently impacting our ability to make progress towards accomplishing our WIGs as a school. So we come up with 3 things that we've studied. So we've studied attendance, consistent cadet and teacher presence in our schools. We've studied our daily operations and structure so that our routines support students when they are at school. And then when they're at school, what does our academics and instructional practices look like for high quality, engaging, and data-driven instruction? On the left there, you'll see a picture. Those are some of our music students. Mrs. Main, our music teacher, took kids outside. They've been learning concepts around beats and rhythms, so they take the buckets outside because the buckets are still really loud even in a closed door classroom. So we go outside and practice some of those beats there. So what we're going to do, the rest of this presentation is going to take a look at each of those 3 things: attendance, the daily operations, and academics and instructional practices. So attendance is a big, complex issue that all schools across the nation are facing. So we're kind of just a deer in the headlights, and every school is like that. And I think that's helpful to ground us, that it's not just an APA issue with chronic absenteeism, tardies, and things like that. So some of the things that we've done this year at the elementary to help attack this adaptive challenge of attendance is intentional tracking. So we developed a team that is monitoring attendance daily so we can identify trends early. If we can notice that the same kids are showing up late every single Monday, well, what's going on over the weekend that's causing them to be late every single Monday? Because if a kid is late 1 hour a week, those hours turn into days, days turn into months, and things like that. Our attendance team is a dedicated group that reviews attendance and provides targeted support. We have a more timely outreach this year. So our secretary, Miss Tiffany, she's a rock star over there at the elementary. She takes care of our attendance logs from the teachers. And if we have students that their families do not call them into the attendance line, we consider that kind of like a no-call, no-show. Like, you didn't come to school today, we really don't know why. And we want to reach out to those families from a supportive stance, like, we miss you, we noticed that you weren't here at school, is everything okay? And you'll be surprised just by taking that step this year, the things that we've learned from our families are pretty significant reasons why their kids are not at school, and then that can activate our internal responses. What supports can we provide to those families and cadets? So that's a new thing that we're doing today. It's timely because we're doing it same day. So Tiffany is able, we take attendance in the morning. By mid-morning, she's able to compile all of those notes and call-ins, and then from there she can start making her phone calls accordingly.
And
Sometimes
those are quick. I'm just gonna say very, very quick.
Yes.
Yeah, our notices,
Yes.
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. No.
Hey, we like that.
Yep.
Perfect feedback.
And some of it with the secretary calling, some of our families still don't know that they had to call in. So we use that opportunity as an education, like, no, school is important, attendance is important, but we understand that life happens and things come up. You just gotta give us a call and we can get our attendance updated. New this year, and Jill hinted to it, so our Parent Square is our communication platform with families. So Parent Square has a feature where it'll give auto notices to families after a certain time, and it'll notify families if their kids have been absent or tardy, and also provides them a way to submit rationales to why their kids aren't here. So that gives families 2 options now. They can call our main attendance line, or if they don't want to talk to anybody or leave a voicemail, they can wait for this notice to come out, click the link, and submit their notice that way, and it goes to Miss Tiffany. I'll show you what those notices look here in a minute.
Put an asterisk that you guys are piloting that.
Oh, yes. So we are piloting that because they had some movements over here, but also we wanted to start small and kind of learn the system, what it looks like at the elementary, kind of learns the ins and outs, because one of the quirks with auto notices is you can set it to by day or by period. Well, here at this building, periods look a little differently, and do you want messages going out every single period or once a day? So this team over here is currently watching the elementary and making their own determinations before it rolls out here.
So what is your turnaround time for the notices for the
So
elementary?
teachers have to take attendance by 9 a.m. and then at 9 a.m. Skyward sends a report to Parent Square, and at 9:30 a.m. Parent Square notifies all the families from the report. There have been some growing pains with it, so if, let's say a student comes in late at like 8:45 in the morning, teachers already marked them absent. So after they marked them absent, Tiffany is the one that controls updating the attendance. Well, that little turnaround time is kind of quick, and sometimes there's a lot happening in the front office, or Tiffany has a lot of phone calls, or something else happens there. So we had to put a sign and educate our families, like, your kid has signed in late, but you might still get an absent notification, but that's okay, we know your kid's here and we'll update your attendance. Because sometimes parents are like, oh, I dropped off my kid, why are they absent, notifying the school? So we're trying to navigate those things as well.
Yeah, and that's part of the delay on doing that secondary approach,
Yeah.
because D26
Mhm.
and
Right.
All
the
kinds of
first
things.
period is a
Yep.
struggle of attendance for us over here, so working through
Yeah.
that.
Mm.
But I
Now,
think
you
they're
also
close.
said teacher
Say that would be hard with the
attendance.
new
Mhm.
Is that, surely that's not a problem, is it?
So our teachers have their own PTO days and stuff, so we actively track that, but we know that even with leaving subplans might not be the same level as direct teacher instruction there, so
Mhm.
there is
Yeah.
that teacher attendance does play an impact in academic
Oh,
performance
okay.
and
Yeah,
growth.
and you have to consider where, maternity leaves or life circumstances.
Well, yeah, I mean,
those-
that's something, yeah, that's
Yeah,
scheduled,
that
yeah.
does impact.
Mhm.
Well, I saw
performance
that, I
or-
thought, you mean teachers aren't showing up on time or
Yeah.
something, but no, that's not.
I'll say,
what we
they're
would
pretty
normally
timely.
do, yeah.
They've
Yeah,
got kind of a
they are.
pit bull over there watching them,
Yeah.
so.
Oh, okay.
There we go. A coming soon feature, so in addition, so Parent Square Auto Notice is kind of more of that day-to-day, period-to-period attendance focus. Parent Square also has something called Attendance Plus that we have invested in, and we are currently in the process of setting it up. The whole focus around Attendance Plus is it tracks chronic absenteeism. So the state defines chronic absenteeism after missing 10% or 18 days or more. So that feature will help us have a dashboard of when students get close and when they surpass those thresholds there, and it will help us streamline support mechanisms so we can figure out why these kids are not coming to school on a regular basis. I'll show you what.
I can ask a question real
Yes.
quick. For the Parent Square, is there a commitment to have all 268 enrolled into it? Is it mandatory? Is it something you guys watch? Maybe a parent doesn't want to have all these notifications on their phones and vice versa from there. Do you guys kind of monitor that? as
We
well,
do,
too?
so we can see read receipts
Yeah.
from messages and delivery rates there. So as a school, we approach it as this is our method of main communication to parents. This is how we're providing information there. So if parents ask us questions and stuff, we refer it to Parent Square, and
Okay.
if they say we don't have it, well, now we talk with
Talk
them,
to
and
them
it's like,
about it.
this is
Okay.
something that we can have.
Yeah.
You can also set your preferences on notifications, whether those are email, whether they're text,
Yeah.
or app notifications. You can set it up to get instant, so if I send 5 messages in a row, if you have instant, you're gonna get 5 messages in a row. Or if you kind of just want what they call a digest, at the end of the day, it'll send a summary of all of those messages to you. So families have some flexibility there in that process.
Or it might just be easier to show up all the time, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Let's
we
hope
do.
that, yeah.
We use it for both beyond that,
Yeah.
but we also, a lot of like our emergency protocol,
Mhm.
if information goes out through Parent Square.
That's
And
good to make sure that everyone's enrolled into it, so that we have all of
Yeah.
our students notified, yeah.
Yeah, and we do that a lot during registration, like we
Yeah.
get them signed up. And Parent Square was actually pretty impressed with us because our engagement number, as far as how many working phone numbers, they thought first this was like a fluke, because I think our first run was like 98% of that. I'm like, no, because we're trying to update it as much as possible. And so that's, Parent Square has been well received. It was Remind a year and a half ago, somewhere in there.
And then
Remind-
they merged, right, or
Yeah,
got
Parent
bought out,
Square
something from
bought,
there, yeah.
somebody bought somebody.
Yeah.
And so the Parent Square, it's been great, but one of my favorite complaints, besides it's so timely right on that, is you guys communicate too much. Oh, thank you. Thank you. We like that, so.
So like at family conferences, we have a station dedicated to Parent Square, where we like, do you have the app downloaded? Do
Okay.
you have your notifications
Yeah.
set to what you want them to be, and go from there. So constantly revising that information. Phone numbers change, making sure our numbers sync correctly so Parent Square works and things like that.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
These are,
Oh, there's my green.
oh, it's coming up. Here's it. I got it. Yes,
There we
sorry.
go.
A couple other things there. So in addition to all those three things, we are working with families about shifting the mindset. This was exacerbated because of the pandemic when we said everyone stay home. So now it's like working with families and our communications team for social media, and just to continuously reinforce the idea that every day at school matters and to build a positive culture around attendance. So we are not taking the approach of like demeaning these families or calling out every single day and tardy that they have. We just want to be able to work with you, and how can we see progress towards better attendance in the long run. So our overall goal is to build that consistent attendance habits through partnership, communication, and accountability there. On the right there, you'll see some of our 4th and 5th grade cadets. Those were during Constitution Day. Constitution Day was in mid-September, so they have a little packet there that they went to the other classrooms, the lower elementary, and read to the little kids about Constitution Day for that. This is kind of what the Parent Square auto notices look like. So this is the app version. So in this case, Lillian was marked absent on August 28th, and so it just sends a notification to discuss this absence. That parent could call the number, extension 1 goes to the elementary, or if they don't want to take the time to call us and talk to us, leave voicemail, they can just click this button and type in what they want to tell us for that. Their kid is sick, they have a doctor's appointment or something along those lines. Over here, this is what the text message feature looks like. So if, like I use the app notifications a lot, but some people prefer the texting mechanism, so that's what it says there. And these are the messages that go out to families every day at 9:30. So this one says absent, but you can also interchange that to tardy as well.
What's your turnaround time on getting the note from the parent if they go through that? Is it an instant?
Instant.
And you guys get the notification that they replied?
Yeah, so if someone fills out those notes, it goes to Miss Tiffany and it goes
Okay.
to myself there, because I like to keep a track on who's really sick, and I can study those patterns there as well.
So I get that Tori's absent, and by the time I get those, she's already at school, and she's
Mhm.
just been late, but they
Mhm.
all say that she's absent that
Yes.
day.
So that goes
That's
back to
normal.
that original thing there. So the teachers take attendance first thing in the morning around 8:15. Once they take attendance, they're not opening that attendance again. So if Tori
Oh,
wasn't
so
in
yeah.
class, she's absent.
Uh-huh.
And then when she checks into the front office, Miss Tiffany will change the attendance to tardy.
So it'll change, okay.
But we have a sign posted by the door that's like, you're probably still gonna get an absent notification even though you're citing your
Okay.
kid in tardy today.
Okay.
Because our attendance notification is based off morning attendance. We take attendance
Oh,
twice a
okay.
day, morning and afternoon, but right now we're only experimenting with the morning. So that's what the auto notices look like. So outside of attendance, moving on to our culture of calm. So this goes into our daily operations. How do we make sure our routines and systems in place support student learning? So we took a look at our master schedule and we made some intentional changes there. So this year we moved recess from after lunch to before lunch, and there was a couple different reasons for that. So we know that research shows that kids eat more food because they ran off all of their energy, and they're more likely to sit down at cafeteria tables, eat more of their portion of their food, and because they are more focused on being hungry and getting their thirst quenched or cooling down on hot days, they're less likely to be up out of their seats, causing disruptions and things along those lines. Because of our extended school day, our transition times look a lot better there. So sometimes we'll see like lunch ends at 12:30, but then we said your reading block starts at 12:30. How can you do, if you're in the cafeteria at 12:30, how can you be starting your reading block at 12:30? So because of the extended day by 20 minutes, we've been able to account for transition times. So an indirect impact of that is we get more instructional time with that, because we're accounting for movement across the building. Our 3-5 instructional model changed. More details will come in the academic portion with that. We've improved structure in our common areas, so our lockers did some major shifting there because we saw some instances where a lot of peer-to-peer conflict was happening in the hallways at the end of the day and in the mornings because our lockers were kind of spread out. So classrooms were going 2 classrooms down to get to their locker, where if we could just move our lockers right outside the doors, there's less movement there, better supervision in the hallways, and as a side effect of that, we see less behavior issues and referrals coming from our hallway. Supervision adjustments, so this year we changed it up where teachers no longer do recess duty, they do their own lunch duty with their own class, and then our specials teachers now do all of the recess duties outside of kindergarten. What we've seen from that is more structure at recess, so we have less issues out there. We have defined areas, defined supervision spots. In the lunchroom, we had a lot of conflict last year, a lot of peer-to-peer conflict, a lot of referrals there. So we took a step back. Our teachers know our kids best. They spend all day with them, multiple hours a day. They know their triggers. They know what this tone and what this could lead to from there. They know how to separate personalities more than just people that see them for 20 minutes a day. So what we've seen from that is way less issues in the lunchroom there.
Good.
And because they are no longer going to recess after lunch, they're more likely to be in the mindset to go back into learning. Last year, we had a big challenge with teachers. They went from recess, running around, and within 5 minutes, they're expected to sit down in their seats and be ready to learn.
Oh,
That was a
yeah.
big adjustment period for a lot of our
Not
kids
gonna
there.
happen quickly,
So
yeah.
by moving recess before lunch, they're naturally cooling down during their lunchtime, and now they can transition easier back to class, ready to learn. In addition to Culture of Calm, streamlined cadet support. So this year we have a director of cadet behavior. Her name is Ms. Brown. She just basically oversees a lot of the discipline and behavior and referrals. Her background is ABA, so she's a big proponent of finding the root cause of behavior, not just kind of like, you did this, get out of the building and stuff like that. Like, what is causing this behavior? Let's try to make progress towards that. So we see a reduction in referrals and more time spent in the classroom and at school. So because of her presence there at the elementary, we've been more proactive and timely in our approaches when teachers are having issues or anything like that. And we are able to have a more consistent response. So we're not varying the handbook from different angles with different students there, more consistent there. Also, with Ms. Brown, she's working closely with our counseling department. So we know that our kids have a lot of traumas and high A scores, but ultimately at the end of the day, that's not an excuse for not being able to be productive in the learning environment. Just because you have a lot going on at school doesn't give you a right to disrupt the learning for others. So with that, we're able to intercept that with our counseling department. She's able to handle it from a behavior discipline perspective and then connect those students to resources, whether it's Ms. Terry, our in-house counselor, Aspire Services that we partner with, or Meridian. This year, Aspire has a dedicated therapist just for APA, which is a growth point. We didn't have that last year. So she's able to see more students on a regular basis. And that is also very helpful for families because they're getting those services during school, because families have a challenge of getting kids to services outside of school on their own time as well. So what have we seen over the first 9 weeks? So I'm a math person. I went to school for math, so I like numbers and quantitative data. But we don't readily have that information yet, but what we do have is the qualitative data, and that qualitative data would be very hard to represent numbers-wise. What have we seen over the first 9 weeks by just observations and talking with people? We've seen a reduction in negative behaviors during recess and lunch. We have received fewer family concerns regarding discipline and behavior, and we've also received fewer bullying reports this year, as Jill mentioned, because she sees all of those. I believe we've only had 2 this year, and I think at this point last year I was over 5 at this point.
I think you were over
Probably,
that
yeah.
a little bit.
It's on the lower end there. And see, with that, with fewer bullying reports, because our counselor oversees the bullying reports, she now has more time to work with kids to prevent that from happening or get a better understanding of what bullying is. We've also seen calmer transitions and more productive learning time because kids are now going back to class after lunch and in the afternoon, more regulated, ready to learn. So we see a lot of positive trends with this change, and I can't wait to see the quantitative results of this as well.
When do you have like the NW or NWEA or whatever?
Mhm.
When's your first testing gonna be?
So all of our beginning of year testing is done.
Oh,
So,
it is, okay.
They did the fall NWEA, so then they will take that assessment again in the spring, and that's how we'll measure growth. I'll talk a little bit more about some other formative assessments that give us quicker growth data and more data-driven responses here in a second.
Sounds good.
Mhm. Moving on to academics, so this is our new instructional model. So after reviewing some data, we decided to move our 3rd grade to a team teaching model. So there are 2 3rd grade teachers. One focuses on math and science, and the other one focuses on reading and ELA. And then our 4th and 5th grade teams departmentalize. So they have 1 teacher for math, 1 for reading, 1 for ELA and writing, and 1 for social sciences there. we spent a lot of time the last board meeting kind of dissecting why we did this. So what have we seen now that we've done this model for the first 9 weeks? We have seen an increased amount of teacher collaboration within their shared planning, especially that 4-5 team. They all see the same kids. They're all seeing similar struggles academically, behaviorally, and they're now working together on their shared prep time to best support those kids and talk with me, talk with Miss Brown, talk with Miss Hornacher. That indirectly is impacting their camaraderie. We're seeing a lot more joy among teachers. Teachers are hanging out outside of school, and hanging out in the hallways, talking, debriefing. That camaraderie and joy is in the building. We're seeing fewer behavior issues and disruptions to learning within our upper elementary. A lot of our kids, they struggle to sit for long periods of time without movement. Well, with our 4th and 5th grade, they're moving every hour. So they're getting that energy release. Sometimes they don't vibe well with the teacher or a teacher's personality for that day. Hi, after 65 minutes, I'm now moving to another teacher there. And so maybe they're less likely to act out to get out of that teacher's space. And also more focused instruction, because the teachers have the ability to just dive into their content area.
Yeah, I think that's a big one,
Yeah.
because, I mean, the traditional model was one teacher had to be an expert at everything, and that's quite a challenge. This is sort of like setting up schools like colleges, really. And that's something, many years ago, as a former teacher, I like this. I think it makes a lot of sense here, what you guys are doing.
Yeah, and another way we saw this, like the teacher pipeline is still not really there. We don't have a lot of teachers there, and burnout is a big thing there. So with our upper elementary only having to focus on math, I might have to do it for 80 kids now, but I'm not worried about planning reading and reading groups and ELA and social sciences. I'm just doing my math groups. So we hope to see less burnout and less the feedback that we get from teachers is that the workload itself is not as bearing as it was in the past.
Now, I may be dated here, but used to, we heard about the rotational learning in the
It's still there.
elementary, and it's still there. And I understand that as I may chronologically be a 4th grader, but if I'm functioning at the 2nd grade level or the 6th grade level, I'm working on my grade level within the group.
Yes.
Which must be a logistical nightmare.
But the teachers are masterful at it. So
Which
they
is
use their
good.
data, and they have their groups lined up there, and they change all the time based off their progress monitoring and
Of course,
data.
I suppose it depends on what
Yeah.
you're teaching. If it's math or reading, versus teaching history, it's not such a crucial, but, okay, so that's good.
And even in this model, we're seeing this. So even in that 4-5, there's 65-minute classes. They're kind of designed that way. Like the first 5 minutes is get the daily expectations set, and then there's a natural progression to either 2 30-minute groups or 3 20-minute rotations there within the classroom.
Makes sense to me.
Some more things within academics, so data-driven practices. So we used our data to drive class formations.
I'm sorry.
Is that your grandkids?
See my art kids over
Their
there?
expressions are so cute.
Yes, they're working on their art projects for the fall shows.
Very
We use our data to drive class formation. So this year we took a different approach. We used that iRead data to try to group 3rd graders in a class that best fits their needs. It also, like I said, with the teachers, they use the data to form their individual flights in their classrooms, and that's a K-5 practice. You talked about upper elementary, so for grades 3 through 8, they have to take the iLearn, and the state has come out with some really great resources for once. They are doing their iLearn blueprints.
Wow.
Look, it's been over
It
a
must have been
decade since
accidental.
resources like that have existed. So
Wow.
we're very thankful for that
Yes.
to any people responsible for that. Listen.
So the state has redesigned their iLearn test, and they came up with some blueprints there. And what the blueprints does, it takes the individual standards that are being assessed, and it breaks down each standard into each of what they call their proficiency levels. So if this is your standard, let's say you can round numbers to the nearest million or something like that. It'll tell you, well, if you're below proficient, this is what you're doing at the standard. If you're approaching, this is what you're doing at and above. And our goal as a staff is to teach a lot of the at standards, and then scaffold. If a kid is lower, we can go down lower, and they vertically align those standards. So maybe the 5th grade is way too high for these kids. Well, let's go to that same standard at the 4th grade level. Can they do that? Can we start seeing progress there? And as they start making progress there, let's get them back up to the 5th grade level. And vice versa, if kids are really far ahead, take that 5th grade standard, what does it look like at the 7th or 8th grade level, and let's meet kids where they are there. So those iLearn blueprints have been a game changer for us. We're actively using them. It drives our scope and sequence in the 3rd through 5th grade level. And the state is actively working on, even though K through 2 doesn't take the iLearn test, they are doing the same things with those standards. Like, this is what you can do at each of those proficiency levels. And our teams are going to use that even at the K2 level.
Yeah, and
Great.
I would say historically, we lost access to the breakdown of standards and skill sets like that about 14 years ago, when the push for Common Core happened, and then the state changed their rollout, and they did that, and then they had iStep, then they had iLearn. A lot of what our teachers have been operating on, right, they've understood depth of knowledge, but when you get an iLearn score that just says they're approaching proficiency,
What does that mean?
what does that mean?
What does that mean?
Yeah.
What does it mean when, okay, well, they're struggling with nonfiction text? There are 1,000 skill sets, even at that grade level, that could be contributing to that. And this was one, actually, Jamie Garwin from Ball State and I, we went to this training together last year and kept hitting each other like, hey, look, did you see this now? Oh, it's back, or oh, there. And so for us, it's game changing because obviously we know we're measured by iLearn. We've had these type of resources to an extent through NWEA, but it's hard to align that national overarching skill to a very specific testable strand and know what is the state asking us. So, major props to Stoddy and his team because they've really dug into this, right? And there's hope again.
Yeah.
They feel better.
Is this information being shared with the patients, sorry, work?
Yes, our
work,
patients.
with the parents?
Yeah, so.
Meaning, like, when you determine that a child is reading differently this way, and you recognize it and understand, but this is how you're going to help fix it.
Yes.
You're reporting that to the parents.
We
for
do.
them to
So we've gotten some
understand.
feedback. I didn't put it in here because it's still a work in progress, but we're actively reviewing how the elementary does report cards.
Okay.
Because the big thing is, like, I get this report card, but all it shows is my kid has all A's, and then parents are coming to us, well, why isn't my kid passing iRead? Or
Right.
why are they being recommended for retention even though they have all A's?
Right.
Because they don't understand
Yeah.
what those A's represent. And as a school, we have a responsibility to address those communication barriers. So we are redesigned our report card template to try to show families like, this is, you have A's, but the question is, what do those A's mean?
Mhm.
Those A's represent this level of work.
Oh.
Does that work below grade
So it
level
might be
or
A,
above
but you're
grade
3
level?
grade levels
Exactly.
behind where you
So as a school,
chronologically
so-
are.
Do they
Yeah.
have like a GLA then, like a
GLE,
grade?
yeah.
Or GLE,
Yeah.
okay, grade
Mhm.
level
Yeah.
equivalent.
And we've had the GLEs on there before, but what does it mean? And I've not seen your new template yet.
Mhm.
Anyway, but on there, even just looking at it visually, the GLE is like up here, 3.4 whatever, which, grade 3, 4 months in. And you're looking here, well, I'm getting all A's here, my kid's a 5th grader, I'm only looking at reading A, this, whatever.
Because that's
score
what
is.
we were, as parents, were raised
Right.
with back in the
Mhm.
day.
And
Yeah.
so connecting that and then also explain what does that mean
Mhm.
about that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we ran into that personally with our own child
Mhm.
when she was getting
Mhm.
all A's, but yet
Yes.
she did not pass
It was
iRead, so
very
got
valid,
retained.
so, yeah.
So that's where we were like.
Mhm.
we
And I
need to
think
have
that, like, some things that we've done in the past, like, we haven't always had family conferences. Having those in October provided a mechanism, and over 80% of our families come to family conferences. That's when we start those conversations, when we start looking at retention for next year. I know we're only in October, but we're starting those conversations now with parents in person, so we can continuously work together to hopefully avoid that.
Mhm.
But if we don't have to avoid that, we've been talking about it for a
Mhm.
long time, so it shouldn't just come as a biggest surprise.
And that's good, because that was, yeah, for us, when we went through that, it's like, we're at the end of the school year, why didn't we know
For
this
sure.
sooner?
Very fair and valid.
Especially.
And we had
K-8
families like
all year.
that, so.
Right.
Yeah, we just continuously review and reflect and try to do better for the future. Our iLearn checkpoints help with progress monitoring. So there are 3 checkpoints before what we call the big iLearn summative test in April. And these are kind of just checkpoint assessments. It tells us what standards they're going to review. So we treat it as a pre-test and a post-test. So we're in the middle of checkpoint 1. So all of our 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders took the checkpoint 1. And now we have this data that tells us on each of these standards what proficiency level they're at. Our teachers then use that data to drive their instruction for 7, 8, 9 weeks, and then we're going to retake that same checkpoint and measure growth there. We do not expect all of our below proficient to become above proficient in 9 weeks, but we do hope to see a large number of below proficients move to approaching move to at, maybe some ats move to above. That's what we're hoping to see with those checkpoints. Our iLearn data also told us over time that writing has been a weak strand for us as APA across the board, 3 through 8, but we know it goes down further than that. So we use that data to revamp one of our specials class. So neuroscience has been morphed into Leader in Me and is no longer a standalone specials. We created a class called Ink and Keys that focuses on the writing process, writing standards, and also handwriting and typing there.
Oh,
And
okay,
that's
so they're
nice.
back to learning how to actually print.
Right, print and practice
Or
those
print,
skills.
not print, what do you call
Are they
the?
doing cursive?
Or
Cursive, yeah,
Cursive.
yeah.
That's-
Versus
yeah.
a skill.
Yeah, that's there. We want them to be able to write and print before we even introduce that cursive style as well.
Oh, well,
because there's
yeah,
some
sure.
work there to be done.
Yep.
So that's a K through 5 approach. So all kids get 45 minutes of enriched writing instruction that's outside of the classroom. So this is not replacing the classroom instruction. So all of our kids should be getting some type of writing instruction from their teachers, and then an extra 45 minutes a week from one of our specials class.
That's a special, so it's only like once a week?
Once a
then?
week for
Okay.
45 minutes. And then
Okay.
for our upper elementary, grades 4 and 5, because of our departmentalized structure, we now have a dedicated block for ELA and writing mechanics that we
Nice.
did not intentionally have with our self-contained model from the past. So we're using our data to make intentional changes, and we hope to see positive growth within our writing scores within the iLearn. We took a deep dive with science. One of the grades takes a science portion of iLearn, and we saw an increase in our scores, and we asked ourselves, why? Well, one of the main things that we're attributing it to is we started using our makerspace once a week for 45 minutes and started teaching the scientific method and different things at different grade levels. And that was really the big instructional change with science there, and we saw some positive growth there. So we're hoping to see the same thing with Ink and Keys and trying to tie it back together with growth there.
And they still have their makerspace class too,
Yeah.
so.
That's awesome. Outside of that, some cool things going on at the elementary. We had STEM Week, so it partnered, aligned with College Go Week. So Ivy Tech brought their mobile STEM lab here. All cadets K through 5 got to spend time learning about STEM and careers in STEM. We love this. The state's moving to more career-based, and career could mean whether it's a trade, whether you're going to college and things like that. So the kids got to experiment with different stuff here. It's kind of like a makerspace on wheels. So we have robots and stuff and 3D printers in our makerspace. They have just different fun tools and technology on this STEM trailer here. So the big picture here on the left, that's our kindergarten group high-fiving a robot there. We got some 2nd grade cadets working on circuits, and same thing down there. They have connected some circuits to bananas that help play musical sounds as well. So had a lot of great feedback from teachers. Looking forward to bringing this back next year as well.
Nice.
And it's a free resource. It's like a free field trip that we could bring on campus. Almost there, teacher leadership. So we've seen a big focus in teachers volunteering to be leaders at our school. So we have 3 lead teachers that we're actively working with. We redesigned our lead teacher program where now they service all teachers instead of just select grade bands, and we're seeing positive results there. We do a teacher cohort, which is a teacher mentorship program where one of our teachers or administrators lead our teachers through conversations and kind of talk about struggles and celebrations happening in our classroom, so teachers are building off each other's knowledge. College Go Week, these are some pictures from College Go Week. It wasn't myself or an administrator that kind of planned those activities. It was 2 of our teachers. So Mrs. Kuntz, one of our kindergarten teachers, Mr. Staples, one of our 4 or 5 teachers, kind of were the driving force behind our College Go Week there. So we focused at what do our kids want to be when they grow up. We made our own college pennants that hung outside our doors for the whole week so kids can kind of learn about college as well. Our literacy nights, Mr. Staples, our 4th and 5th grade reading teacher, is taking the lead on our literacy night, so that's awesome to see teacher leadership there. HHM is our Hispanic Heritage Month program that's coming up this month there. We have several staff members that are taking the lead, and our EL department, ML department is taking a leading role in that. So it's been nice to share the wealth and see our teachers grow even outside of the classroom into leadership positions within our school. Finally, we had our 2nd annual walkathon. This is essentially our biggest fundraiser that we have. This was the biggest year yet, even though it's only year 2. We beat last year. We raised more than $5,600 during our walkathon this year, all sheer donations.
That's pretty good.
We did a sponsorship program this year, so we had some local sponsors. So Mixed Gymnastics was a sponsor for us. Guardian Boat Covers and Seats was also a sponsor for us as well. All of that money raised, that $5,600, just goes right back to cadets. So we like to pay for all of the transportation fees for field trips. With that type of money, we're able to cover entry fees for all grade levels. It'll do prizes for our cadet store incentive programs and other things like that. That's a couple pictures, or that's one picture. And then we have a couple more pictures. So we do our walkathon over at Jackson Park. The weather cooperated with us this year. So we go over to the park there. We had some people wear
Nice.
inflatable checks with motivational signs for the kids. We had Bubble Alley there, so the kids got to play with bubbles and stuff as they were doing the walkathon and other things like that. So super excited to see what year 3 has in store for us next year. And then to wrap up here, this is just kind of our upcoming events. So we're in the middle of October with our Hispanic Heritage Month combo, Trunk or Treat coming up after fall break, JA Day, so that's Junior Achievement. That's again a big career push there. So we have like 35 volunteers from First Merchants come in and do lessons with the kids about banking and different type of adult or real life skills that they're teaching there. And we love JA Day because it's expanded because 4th and 5th grade go to BizTown, and I just kind of thought that was the program, but no, it's way lower and way higher than that. So it's been cool to see that program evolve, K-12. Our K through 2 classes are going to tour the library, so we're again that big literacy push, get them into libraries with a partnership with the Anderson Fire Department. Family conferences at the end of the month, then we have Veterans Day in November, holiday concerts, lit night, holiday shop in December, early spring before I come back again. Late spring, we have our book fair night and math night planned as well. But outside of that, I'll take a couple questions here, but that's our elementary spotlight for the fall.
Excellent job. So, yeah.
I just want to say, I appreciate all this, and I think that with the whole new, the way of the high school graduation thing with like the career, I think this is great that they get to like experience different types of careers with the JA and the field trips and all that. I think that's great. Kudos.
Very much leader in me. Great job. Begin with the end in mind.
Yeah, excellent presentation and quite logical too. Seems to
It
make
happens.
sense.
Brain.
I was real excited when we first learned about the changes that were coming to the elementary school, and it's very exciting to know that how successful it is for the students as well as the teachers, carrying on that camaraderie with them, and it's been very nice to
So do
see.
you think that the next time the I Learn or I Read scores hit the front page of the paper, that the scores will be a little better?
That's the hope. That's what we're working towards.
Yeah. It does help that most everybody's stumped, but
Yeah.
still.
Well,
Well,
and-
not really, no. The urban areas are always going to be lower, and that's just reality for many different reasons. The county schools, most of them, are gonna be higher. So, I mean, that's just the way it is. But, I think one way to look at it is, I think the Anderson community is lucky that we're here to offer what we're trying to do. And I know that the other schools are doing probably most of the same stuff too. I think everybody's trying, all
Yeah.
the schools, so.
I would say there is a lot of camaraderie among schools right now with still trying to do this, but I think one of the best parts is we keep evolving, right?
Mhm.
Where this did work for that generation or that population or that time period. And as things have changed, right, where, you know, when we were founded, go to college. That was
Yep.
the thing,
Yeah, that was the
right?
mantra, yep.
And then we want all of our kids to be college ready, but, you know, go whichever route they choose. But we didn't necessarily have the capability to start so early. I think a lot of the community resources, hooking up with junior achievement and getting to know, one, it's free for the most part, besides that BizTown and, what's the one that they just went to? The middle school, and we'll leave about it later. JobSpark. There we go.
JobSpark,
Yeah. But having access to such robust free resources, right? I'll give a shout out to Ivy Tech, right? But dropping off that trailer, life changing for us. Getting the grants to have the maker spaces and having money to train teachers, right? A lot of great things have come out. Now we'll see that come out and give us hopefully the test scores that show the same part. We already know we are growing. Our kids are growing. Now we gotta just start hitting that standard. So
I think it's been a long time since I was in the class. Well, Angie will testify to that. But I think that's one of the biggest changes I have seen from being here on the board is the stuff that we're introducing at such a young age is just unheard of. If you were to go back to the 60s, 70s, even early 80s. And, but again, it has to be that way for the kids to actually make it in the real world, especially with AI. You know, what's that going to do to all of the available jobs, for example? You know, that the jobs that required a college degree, 4-year, an AI program may be doing a lot of that, at least on the entry level. So I think you guys are doing a great job by adapting, like you said.
yeah, and we definitely are trying to prepare them for jobs that don't exist
Don't
yet.
exist
and we don't
yet,
even know
yes.
what they're
Well,
going to
that's great.
need, right?
That's what we wanna hear.
If they can problem solve and flex and be able to work through that, then we're equipping them the right way.
Think outside
Especially
the
if they can
box.
be leaders and, you know, kind humans. Emphasis.
Oh, yes, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks,
for
Sally.
your
Thank you very
presentation.
much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, next on the agenda here is the last thing on the agenda is discussion
Yeah.
about this coming actually Saturday, October 11th, about a board work session, a renewal and strategic plan.
Let's see, those hours, we're to be here at when?
10 to 2.
10 to 2.
Yes,
Okay.
10 a.m. to here.
This room or your office?
Um,
Or another location?
let me tell you once I figure out
To be
the
determined.
air temperature.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Let me-
TBD on that.
Let me
Yeah.
figure that one out,
Yeah.
TBD.
Yeah, tell us whether we need your summer or winter clothes. Yeah.
Well, I don't know, it's Indiana, you'll need both. Yeah, so
It's
obviously.
this Saturday.
This Saturday, I hit that as part of our, as part of the CEO report, so not much, you know, to write home on that part. But no, we don't need quorum work on that. If you're a computer guy or a girl and you wanna bring tech, that would be great. And like I said, I'll send out some of the updated materials before then. And we'll just kind of go through some of the updates and just making sure,
No,
literally
that's
in this
just,
case,
that
crossing
would
some
just
Ts
be,
and dotting some Is.
There'd be a
Just be
virtual
us
opportunity
then,
for
right?
folks
No,
like-
Yeah,
no
we.
Ball State
well,
people
not her, 'cause
present?
she's
or-
on the
Okay.
board.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I don't think so.
What'd you
Yeah.
say?
Yeah.
Oh, that's just us. I mean.
Oh, yeah, it's just
Yeah.
us. No, it's
Okay,
just our
we're-
in-house. And then.
No offense, but we want to, before you guys come over, we want to get our story straight. you know, So that always
Just
helps,
said
so.
it on camera, now it's a thing.
Well, remember when that one consultant they had come over a couple years ago and he was interviewing me and he's wanting me to give him a concise breakdown of every single loan we had and the memory and all that. And then he stops all of a sudden and he says, I'll be back in a minute, don't go anywhere. I'm gonna get Barker down here and see if you guys got your story straight.
Oh, yeah.
I will leave that gentleman unnamed at this time.
You know him very well, I'm sure.
Yeah, he-
Poor Doc.
He thought he was still in the Marine boot camp, I think.
Yeah, well, and part of that was because I was so young and new in my position. I think I
Well,
was
you had
year
just started,
two
I
or
think,
whatever.
yeah,
and
I don't know.
wanted to see if you know who he is. Like, he likes to challenge you and help you grow whether you want to or not.
You should have seen the look on her face when he come dragging back. She was like, what in the heck did you do?
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
We got through it. That was good, though. He helped us grow in ways. But yeah, that's all for me on Saturday, and I'll make sure there's like food of some sort. We can put a virtual option together, but I will say if you are having surgery, please make sure that you are adequately
Don't
taking it
Again,
easy.
disclaimer,
Don't skip
I am not
surgery.
responsible for anything that I may say.
Yeah. Sorry. That is all I have for you, sir.
Thank you so much. Any further discussion? If not, can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting this evening?
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for everyone for attending the meeting this evening. We'll call the session ended at 8:09 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Our next meeting is scheduled for the board meeting of Tuesday, November 11th here, 2025 at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.